Alright, I guess we should start at the beginning. Today is December 7th. I've just gotten this package in the mail from Canada via the Andrew Baina Express. Shipping was pretty quick. It only took a couple days. Let's open up and see what we've got. Alright, so what we've got here is a Precision AX carved top kit. The body shape is pretty similar to a Les Paul, obviously. Do you know what channel this is? Did you expect me to get anything else besides a single cut? However, it's slightly thinner than a traditional LP, and it's also got a little blended heel area, hence the AX part of the name. And spec-wise, it's crazy. It's a 3-piece Carina body, which looks great. It's also quite light. And then the carved top is made of a wood called Black Limbo, which I hadn't heard of before, but I'm loving the darker color and figuring of. Like, all the natural streaking in the top is awesome. The neck is, again, made of Carina to match the body. Actually, I'm an idiot. I just looked it up. Carina is also known as White Limba, so this is basically an all Carina build, or an all Limba build, rather. We move. We've got a nice dark ebony fingerboard, no binding, no inlays, super clean. 22 jumbo stainless steel frets, so shiny, flush with the fingerboard. They've done a great job with those. Lumen lace side dots, and to round it all off, an ebony headstock overlay. So traditional Les Paul, this is not even close. Outside of a custom build, I don't know where you could get a single cut like this, to be honest. Just one little problem, it's kind of in pieces right now. Gotta put it together. All right, so here's what I'm thinking in my head right now. One, what the f have I gotten myself into? So unprepared. And two, I love the look of two-tone looks, like stained, transparent colored tops with natural backs. I'm thinking maybe a light-ish blue would look real nice. And then because it is this channel, I don't have professional tools or a workbench or anything you see other people on YouTube have while working on kit builds. Let's try to figure out the best way to get things done in a small city apartment. Because I'm sure there are a lot of you that have also thought about doing your own kits, but it just seems like you need so much space and so much stuff. Obviously, that would be helpful, but it shouldn't be the roadblock that stops you from making something cool. So my approach is going to be first to glue it together, then stain the top, and finally do a tongue oil finish. I think that's probably the best way of going about this to get a great looking, great feeling single cut in a noob-friendly way. You know, limit the amount of potential f***ups here. Alright, got a game plan? Let's execute. Execute meaning carrying out the plan, not killing this, hopefully. I don't know why I say shit. I'm just jinxing myself. Let's do this. So what I'm gonna do is stain the top first, then glue it together, and finally do the finish all at once. Like, I want to minimize the chance of a f***up, and I think by staining the top first, I'm doing just that. Because if I glue the neck on first, maybe some of the stain gets on the neck, maybe the stain on the top isn't that clean. So with that decided, now I need to tape everything off that I don't want to get stained, and then get to work with making it blue. But first, speaking of getting to work, do you know who else gets to work for artists to get their music heard? Today's sponsor, DistroKid. What a segue. So, for those of you who are new to the internet, DistroKid is a fantastic musician-focused platform, and it is the easiest way to get your music onto all the major distribution and streaming platforms. Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, all the others I'm currently forgetting. Not just that, you pay a flat membership fee. DistroKid doesn't take any cuts. All the revenue earned from your music is yours. They make it super easy to upload your tracks with just a few clicks. And a big reason as to why I and so many others use and love DistroKid is because they're constantly improving the platform to better serve artists. And a classic DistroKid feature is the promo card. Essentially, choose any of your releases, hit the generate promo card button, and then you've got an assortment of card options you can download and share to social media to promote your latest or upcoming releases. It's that easy. I love this retro TV one, and it's the perfect size to share to stories or to reels. It's super cool. So if you make music, you want to get it out there, turn your hobby into a nice side hustle, or even beyond that, you should definitely be using DistroKid. Pricing starts at just $20 a year for unlimited uploads, and if you use my link in the description, you can snag a bonus 7% off. They're awesome, not just the team and the service, but also the insane support on the channel. Love what they're doing. Check them out because they're legit, the gold standard. And of course, clicking the link helps the channel by letting them know that I sent you. And while you're doing that, let's get back to seeing whether I failed epically at staining my guitar blue or not. Okay, so here I'm going to expose myself and admit to maybe cheating a little bit. So this was supposed to be an apartment-only build. At the time, I was also working with my luthier Wendell on, I think it was the 72 Les Paul custom project at the time. I brought the body in because I was pretty happy with how it turned out. I wanted to show him that was a mistake. Wendell is a perfectionist. He wanted to clean up my work a little bit because it wasn't bad, but some stain had just seeped from the top to the side. But he somehow damaged the neck pocket, so he had to use the sanding machine to fix it, and then ended up sanding down all the sides just to clean the whole thing up. I'm telling you, get a luthier like Wendell who strives for nothing but the best a guitar can be. And since I was there anyways, he also taught me how to clamp and glue the neck in because I did not want to screw that up. And while I was initially worried, it's pretty straightforward actually. It's the exact same materials and tools I was going to buy and or borrow from my apartment's maintenance crew. It's just wood glue and clamps, honestly. Wendell's biggest tip was make sure you have your clamping strategy in place before you apply your wood glue. And that was the end of Wendell's involvement with this project. Now I've taped off the kind of side of the top. The idea is we'll have natural binding, then I'm going to stain this like a darker color. So the blue will only be on the top, natural binding, darker wood color. I haven't decided whether I want to stain the neck or not, or keep it natural, but at least want this part a darker color. And once I've done this, I'll figure out if I want the neck as well. Okay, so it's all painted, it's looking quite nice. Now before I finish it in tung oil, there is one thing I do want to do. Like I want to do something about this headstock. It looks nice with the ebony veneer, but it's also very blank. So I got some laser printer water slide decal paper from Amazon. So the idea is you cut these out, you stick them in water, and then you basically apply them. Like I know my printer's not running out of ink, but it hasn't printed on particularly well. I really just hope the gray is light enough that you'll be able to see it on the veneer. No idea if this is gonna work or not, but you know, for 20 bucks, I figured it was worth an experiment. All right, there they are, kind of rough cuts. Time to stick them in water and see what happens. So it's there. It's very subtle though. You can definitely see it, but I feel like the decal is more noticeable than like the actual letters in it. From this, it looks like it's just a, I don't even know. Like it's almost like you have to be looking for it. Alright, so that didn't work at all, in case you were wondering. So now we're gonna have to come up with some sort of plan B. So I've been experimenting with the water slide decal paper and the silver Sharpie, and as you can see, it seems to adhere pretty well. You can see it's still got tung oil on it, which is what I'm gonna finish the guitar in. And I also tested it with water, and neither seem to make the Sharpie come off or smudge or anything like that. Okay, so what I've done here is I figure, okay, my printer can do black and white, right? Or rather just black. Okay, we move. So I think what I can do is I can print the outlines. The white is gonna come through as transparent, right? And then I can just fill in the back using silver Sharpie. And so the reason I've inverted the image is I can be a little messy with the back of the water slide decal, filling in the blanks with silver Sharpie. But then when I apply the logo backwards, it'll look super clean because it'll have the black outlines and then the silver Sharpie in the transparent areas. Does that make sense? I hope it made sense. It makes sense in my head. Hopefully it'll translate to something that actually works. But yeah, let's give it a try. Alright, so obviously we have to wait for everything to dry to see the final result, but that's looking pretty damn good. You know, for as janky a method we used at least. I shouldn't speak too soon, but it seems like this is the method that we're going with. Alright, so with the guitar stained, I had to finish the wood somehow, and I chose to do it with tung oil because it's the most noob-friendly way to do it. It'll leave a pretty raw-feeling finish while protecting and making the color pop. So I mixed 1 part pure tung oil with 1 part mineral spirits to thin it, and then I'm just gonna apply it to the top for an open pour feel, then actually use fine grit sandpaper on the rest, and the dust will kind of fill in the grain, giving the neck, the back, and the sides a raw but smooth feel. I did not feel well. I think I inhaled too much mineral spirits, but look how nice that is. Whoops, so it's been a little while. Kind of forgot about this. There's been a lot of other like projects and demos and all sorts of new series going up on the channel. So this has kind of just been sitting here, but I gotta say, it looks fantastic. Like originally I was going for a lighter blue, but I think with the natural binding and the darker back, this actually turned out quite good. At least as far as the color goes, I've accidentally succeeded here. And fingers crossed, we're now on to the easy part. In theory, all we need to do to get it playable at this point is get the electronics and hardware in there, and then probably like double check the frets and everything. But if all goes to plan, this is pretty much, I don't know, like a day or two away from being my first playable kit build. So that in mind, let me show you what I have to throw into this thing. Alright, so I've assembled everything. I've been procrastinating on this project so much, but I'm determined to get this thing done, put this thing together. Are we getting this project done today? Probably not, but we're gonna try. Ringle's just helping me do the last final QC check on everything. For this project, I mean, doing a kit build was a completely new thing for me, so I wanted to do like a little bit of experimentation here. I love trying out everything. So a lot of familiar brands here, but a lot of parts that I've never used before. All right, let's pretend it's holiday season 2007. Exclusively on Xbox 360 and finish this fight. Starting with, and you already know it, the unsung hero from the Nutmasters. This little thing is the single most important part in any upgrade project. Graph Tech Tusk Nut. Permanent self-lubrication. Yes, no strings are getting stuck here. Now, when my luthier Wendell sees this video, he's gonna kill me for doing this first. Usually, you would do this last when you can actually measure your strings and everything to make sure the height is right, but whatever, it. I've installed enough of these nuts now for 9s. I have a pretty clear idea of where I need to be in that regard, but yeah, don't do this first. And you can see they always make them a little larger, like you can always take material off, you can't put it back on. So we do need to sand it down, that way it'll fit. And I will quickly do that off camera because it's not very interesting at all. Alright, perfect. That looks sleek. Alright, next thing, usually I like to start with the tuners. I have no idea why, it's just out of habit, so let's do that now. Now, I'm sure longtime fans of the channel expected me to go a different route, but this time I'm entrusting the tuners to GraphTech as well. See, I'm not always super predictable, and I've heard some amazing things about GraphTech ratio tuners. As the name suggests, each tuning machine has an individual optimized gear ratio corresponding to each string. When you have uniform ratio tuners like 18:1, turning them adjusts the tuning differently for each string because the core tensions are not the same, obviously. By optimizing the gear ratio, specifically making them high to low as you go bass to treble, adjustment response is the same across every string. This means fine-tuning is possible even on the bass strings. It's genius. I love the idea. They're also locking, and they come with an assortment of brushed nickel mounting plates, so whatever fits your guitar. Really cool idea. Can't believe I haven't tried them before. Let's get them on here. Alright, that done. That's looking good. That's looking very, very good. And now, I think we'll do the bridge and tailpiece since we've got to do the bridge ground before we do the electronics anyways. So now on to the bridge. I've trusted Hipshot tuners for years. I have them on so many projects, but I've never actually tried their tunematic style bridge. I don't know how. I love Hipshot, I love single cuts, I love project guitars. How this hasn't happened until now, I genuinely have no idea. So this Tone A-matic made from aircraft grade aluminum is a crazy take on the traditional design. The tailpiece is almost a flat top, magnetic inserts, very modern aesthetic, and the bridge itself is fucking massive. It's a giant chunk of metal. Stainless steel saddles should be great for the chugs, which is perfect because that's exactly what this guitar is going to be used for. There's over half an inch of intonation range, so even though I'll be using 9s, it's designed with thick, heavy cables in mind as well. So let's get that on here right now. Holy shit, well that was a pain in the ass. So essentially there were already holes routed into the body, but they weren't the right size for the Hipshot bushings. And it's one of those things that you expect from a kit build, right? Like, they can't make them the right size for every piece of hardware because it's not universal. So I was like, no worries, I got a reamer. Well, except that my reamer is the wrong size for this. Basically, it was hitting the bottom before it became useful. And you don't just want to rotate it like this, otherwise you've got like a cone going into the body. So I've just spent a couple hours literally just scraping the sides out of these holes because I wanted to enlarge them, but I also wanted to be careful, right? Because I don't want to f this up, and I didn't want like a huge amount of space left over on the sides. You can see that there's like a little bit here and a little bit here. Basically what I'm saying is that was a fucking pain in the ass, but we're good now. I just wanted to complain a little bit, and let's install the bridge. And the last thing we need to throw into this guitar are some solid pickups. I loved the Ragnaroks that were in my 74 Les Paul Custom Rest mod, so I hit up my friends at Bare Knuckle, told them about the project, and they recommended the Painkiller set for this guitar. Bare Knuckle has so many different pickup sets. I hadn't even heard of this one, and they say it's great for high gain, so perfect. I'm into that. And since each pickup is made to order, they can even customize the covers and etch logos into them. So I've gone with chrome battle-worn covers with my Mola logo and burnt chrome pole pieces for a little bit of color. They've also been kind enough to supply some of their premium electronic components, some normal 500K CTS pots, as well as massive CTS push-pulls, and these absolutely titanic paper and oil capacitors. As far as wiring goes, I really liked having the neck split by default, full neck humbucker by pulling up on the push-pull pot in my 74 Les Paul, so I'm gonna try and do the same thing this time with the Painkillers too. Wish me luck. Man, the harness was looking so clean. Why is it that everything I wire ends up looking like 90D? Man, Wendell's looks so much better. But yeah, I was trying to copy this by sight, so we'll see, I guess. Hey, after I use the ties, it's not so bad. I'd actually say that's one of my better wiring jobs, and I mean, the bar isn't high, but still, you know, credit where credit is due. Come on, give me this one. Now, what's funny is I did pick up a few bits like control cavity covers and reflector knobs from WD Music, but I forgot that I needed pickup ring screws. So I cannibalized 4 from another guitar, so now I've got 2 guitars that only have half the pickup ring screws. Whatever, it works, we move. Actually, no, the last thing we're doing is, since we need strap buttons, may as well put strap locks on. I actually don't have a strap available for this right now, but I've gone with Grover strap locks. They're affordable, and I've got other straps using these buttons right now, so it'll be compatible. Let's install those, get some of my preferred clear tone 9s on there, and then we should be able to play this thing finally. So, quick little update. I just got back from a Blackstone Cherry show. They came through Atlanta, and I actually sold Chris Robertson a guitar. While I was back there, I asked him to sign this control cavity cover. Pro tip, if you're going to show him one a signature, especially if it's kind of rough like this, the Sharpie sticks to it really well. It's much easier to carry into a gig than an entire guitar, and it's also much easier to spray and clear coat without making a mess, which is what I am going to do. But yeah, I was heading out to the show, grabbed this real quick because it was the nearest one. Now it's just one more thing that makes this guitar special, because I f***ing love Blackstone Cherry. Alright, now everything is installed. This guitar is f***ing awesome, and I'll give you some final thoughts. But first, here's the first thing I wrote with this kit build that I put together with no prior experience. Okay, so I am so happy with this build. This came out so much better than I had feared at the beginning. Basically, this kit was way too nice. I told myself I would not allow for it to be screwed up, right? Like, the specs are insane. Carina body, Carina neck, with a modern neck shape, and this awesome cutaway, carved black limba top, compound radiused ebony fingerboard with big, well-polished stainless steel frets, lumen lays only for that modern, sleek look. This thing feels, looks, and sounds awesome. I did some experiments with the parts, which I think came out great too. Obviously, the tusk nut from the Nutmaster is the permanent lubricated nut never fails me. I love how satisfyingly chonky the Hipshot bridge is. Hipshot is just S tier for hardware. I don't know why I haven't used one of these sooner. It's almost ridiculous how big this bridge is compared to a standard Tune-o-matic. Thought it would be kind of overkill, but it's just more to love, you know? The Graphtec ratio tuners are so precise, it's almost weird. The corresponding ratios for each string is a genius idea. Really, really love these. It's another thing I'm somehow trying for the very first time, and I'm definitely gonna have to put Graphtec's ratio tuners into some more projects. And this bare knuckle painkiller set, holy shit. I have yet to play anything bare knuckle that doesn't produce fucking inspiring tone. These painkillers kind of get lost in all the high gain artist models, but shit, they're awesome. They're just so clear even when soaked in the sometimes outrageous amounts of gain I like to use, which is a common feature that bare knuckles tend to have. The bridge is fairly high output and quite balanced, though it leans more to bright and mid-focus, so that clarity is nuts. And then that split neck. I mean, the cleans and leads are crisp, for lack of a better word. I guess that's the work of the custom ceramic bar magnet. And I love how they're able to etch my Mola logos into the battle-worn covers, do the custom burnt chrome pole pieces and pick up mount screws. It just adds to how unique this guitar is. So I really enjoy doing the mod projects and stuff, but I've been very hesitant about taking the next step and doing a kit build like this. And especially just doing this from my apartment. I don't have a proper workshop or proper tools. Combined with no experience, I wasn't really sure if it was even possible to get a good result. The biggest mental block, I think, with these kits is worrying about getting the neck glued in properly, right? Because if you screw that up, the entire project is toast. In practice, it actually wasn't so bad though. If you get a high quality kit, like one from Precision, where it fits perfectly, there's no way to glue it in crooked. The neck goes all the way into the pocket and that's it, you just glue it. The only way I guess you could screw it up is if you didn't stick the neck all the way back or if you didn't clamp it down right, but this being my first experience, I was very surprised at how difficult they made it to fuck it up. I did have to put an elbow grease in to sand the joint smooth as I wanted it, but honestly I could have left it as is and it would have been fine. Another part I was pretty concerned about doing for the first time was finishing the bare wood. Again, not that bad with the wood stain tongue oil strategy that I used, at least. And it feels great too. I actually prefer this raw feel over plasticky poly. The hardest part by far was keeping it clean looking, especially how I wanted it with the natural binding. So I did have to go back a few times with sandpaper to clean up the excess, and there's still a few bits that don't look great upon closer scrutiny, but overall, and from a reasonable distance, I think for a first attempt, this came out pretty well. Definitely wish I had some pieces of scrap wood because this came out much darker than I'd planned, and I could have really easily screwed that up, but overall, a pretty happy accident. I'm so impressed with this kit. Precision made it super easy. This kit was straight idiot-proof. I didn't even have to do any fret work. The one oddity I did notice about the kit, though, is that the pre-drilled tuning hole for the lowest string is too narrow, and so that and the second lowest strings are pushing against each other. It doesn't seem to affect tuning stability or anything at all, but it is pretty bizarre. Never come across that before. And I'm so happy with the result. I've got a custom guitar that is an incredible player. No manufacturer makes a single cut with specs quite like this, and I put it together with my own two hands. It's not perfect, and there's still a couple of things I need to clear coat, like the water decals, the handwritten serial, and the Blackstone Cherry signatures. This guitar is so f***ing cool, man. But it's a huge sense of accomplishment. And look, if I can do it with no experience, you definitely can too. So let me know in the comments how you thought the build came out and what kind of build or mod project I should attempt next. And I'll leave links to precision guitar kits as well as all the parts and materials I used down below if you want to put together something like this. I believe in you. Thanks to DistroKid for sponsoring the channel, as well as to Athlon and the rest of the amazing patrons for supporting the channel. They're seriously awesome by allowing me to create entertaining content, and you get bonus extras like MP3s and tabs by joining the Patreon community. Affiliate, social media, merch, and Discord server links are in the description. As always, thank you so much for watching. You've been awesome, and I'll see you for the next video.